Yeah, I logged.
You started the meeting?
No, just Vishnu is logged in.
Hey,
Sir, I'm your host.
Hari, you don't have to log in. You log on.
Kapil sir.
You log on. You log on. Yes, Durga.
Sir, I made you host. It's automatically recording. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Pritam has not joined, right?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, Pritam is here. Hi, Pritam. One more
Yes.
person has to join. Hari is with me.
Yeah. Rupender has to join.
Hello, sir.
You just call him and
Yes.
yeah.
I'll call Infosys. Yeah.
Pritam, how are you?
Yeah, sir, I am fine. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I was facing some medical emergency then. Okay.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Yeah, and still I'm not fully this thing, but yeah, that time I was in emergency, so couldn't respond, and
Okay.
we assigned Durga. I'll take sequel, and then
Okay.
we go back to Durga, and I'll keep coming in for few topics.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so can you see here? We'll get started. Just give me a second. I'm going to create a batch. SQL. How much time we have, Pritam? Till what time can we continue?
Well, sir, I have till 9.
Till 9, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we are talking about database, and then we'll also talk about SQL. Okay, we write SQL, but we pronounce it as SQL. So let's understand what database is first. Okay, what is a database? That's a question.
Collection of data, sir.
Sorry, what was that, Pritam?
Collection of data.
Collection of data. In a way, Word document is also collection of data, right?
Yes.
So do we call Word document as a database?
No, sir.
No, need not be, right?
Yes.
And we talk about Facebook. So Hari is saying that data has to be in rows and columns. Not always. If you talk about Facebook data post that we do is not rows and columns.
Yes, sir.
So it is collection of data. Okay, collection of data fulfilling some extra condition.
Okay, sir.
Some additional properties which are like, okay, that storage should be easy and also retrieval should be easy. Okay, of course, storage is easy. You can dump everything in Notepad, Word document. Okay, so storage is easy, but retrieval becomes difficult when you use Word document. Now, if I ask you, okay, tell me question, right? So then you have to go through hundreds of pages to figure out where is that answer.
Yes,
so
sir.
retrieval becomes very difficult. So database is a software. Database is a software which helps us to store data and also make the retrieval easy. Okay, so the whole purpose of the database is to make retrieval easy. We want it to retrieve. Easy means at whenever we want to. Okay, it should be easy, faster, and whenever we want to. Now, this is so easy to say, but then, okay, in terms of implementation, it becomes very complex. Okay, so if you talk from, let's say, retrieval, now your server is down, but I still need the data. How do you do that? So you have a backup server. Okay, the server goes down, you switch to different server until this is repaired. And the backup server should have all the information. Okay, so from the user perspective, I should not feel that there is connected to different server. There should not be any disruption in the service, right? Now, since we're talking about disruption of the service, okay, so then we talk about, let's see what I'll do is. Okay, the roles that we have. Okay, roles which are related to database. Okay, so we have roles like admin. You don't have to write, I'm writing it for you only. Okay, you have admin role. Okay, the person of the admin role is to make sure that, okay, database is properly installed, okay, is available 24/7. Okay, there is no problem as such, like database is full, right? Okay, there is no problem. There is problem, right? There is no problem, right? Like database is full, it's not available, is corrupted, data is corrupted. Okay, etc. Now, this is not the purpose of our training that we are going to do. Okay, we are not going to get there, but we'll learn anyway to install, because nobody will install it for us when we are working, right? So we will see installation of database we'll do by ourselves, but we are not focusing on how the backup is done, how server availability is maintained. We are not going to go there. Then the user management, etc. So these are all job of admin. We are not going to go there. Then the second type of role that we have is called database developer. They are the ones who create the database, basically. Okay. Now, if you talk about the database types, okay, database view or application, okay, or database type is not the right word. Database usage, I can say. Okay, so you have something called as physical database and logical database. So what is physical and what is logical? See, when you install a database, we are going to use MySQL. Okay, so if time permits today or maybe tomorrow, we'll start installation, or at least I'll give you the link before we end so that you can try installing on your own.
Okay.
So we are going to use MySQL, right? So we have different types of companies. They provide a database, Oracle, Microsoft, IBM, MySQL. They're all, MySQL is also now by Oracle, I guess. So all these companies, they develop database. Now, database is the software I said, right? It'll have its own set of files. Okay. So physical aspect is about the physical files that you see. You can see if you install, you will see 20 files are getting created. Okay. So admin actually work with those files, how to take backup, how to move data from one machine to another, how to make sure that, the concurrency is maintained. Concurrency means, when you enter something to the database, it creates two copies, one in primary server, primary DB server, and then secondary DB server. Secondary DB server is like backup. So if something goes wrong with the primary, data gets corrupted in primary, you still have a copy in the secondary. So then you switch to secondary, primary gets repaired, and then again, primary becomes primary, and your secondary is now again secondary. So all those things are done with a physical level of database. We are not going to go there. Okay. Now, the physical database that we talk about, okay, is different for different companies or products. So that's why you will hear, okay, SQL DBA, not SQL DBA, you will see Oracle DBA. DBA stands for Database Administrator. So administrator is different for different products. You have Oracle DBA, you have SQL Server DBA, etc. Because the way these companies design their product is different. Obviously, Oracle product will be different than Microsoft. So they need to understand how the physical aspect of database is there. So we call them as they'll have to have a Oracle DBA because they understand all about the Oracle. And if you ask them to work with SQL, they may not be able to work. Concept-wise, it's same, but the files are different. So they may not be easily switched from one product to another. The logical DB that we talk about, okay, it's same for same type of database. Okay. Logical is same for same type of database. Now the question comes, what is the type of database? What do you mean by type of database? Okay. So let's talk about types of database. Now, you just mentioned a few minutes back, right? It should be rows and column.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so what happens when database was getting designed, right? They, and of course, the requirement of database was for many years back, right? They started in 50s and 70s is when the RDBMS came. So there are different types. They were trying to use Notepad text file to store data. They were using, various other types of database, but it was all difficult to use. So they came up with 1970s. Cod, okay, was working for IBM. He came up with this concept called RDBMS. Okay, RDBMS. Now, database is also called as DBMS. The Database Management System. Okay, DBMS. Maybe I'll make this B as bold. Okay, RDBMS. Okay, now this was not the first attempt. Okay, we had a lot of different attempts that were made, but then they were not very, as I said, easy to use. Retrieval was difficult. Then they came up with RDBMS. Okay, RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. Okay, what is relational in relation? So for now, okay, we'll talk about it in some time. For now, just understand that RDBMS is used to manage structured data. Okay, now what is structured data? Structured data is data that can be put it in table and column format. Okay, they are managed using table, okay, and then row and column format. Not all databases are like that. Now, now we talk about big data. Big data is handling unstructured data. Okay. Now with data science and data analytics, right? Unstructured data has actually grown, right? As I said, you can't put Facebook post in a table format. You can't put Twitter in a table format, right? You need to have a different kind of structure. Okay, so unstructured, audio video. Okay, I want to analyze videos, right? Now, Amazon Prime, Netflix, they work on videos, right? So now how do they work with such data? So these are unstructured in nature, and then we associate 3 V's with it. Velocity. Okay, we say high velocity. Velocity means speed. The speed at which you get the data. Now, if you are working for Facebook, millions of customers are logging in every minute. They are creating posts. They say that, almost like 10 lakhs photos are uploaded every hour. So imagine the speed at which data is coming to your database. So you
Yes.
should be able to handle this, right? So we say velocity, we say volume, content. Okay,
Okay, sir.
and variety. Variety means you have text data, somebody writing a post, somebody uploading a video, somebody uploading an image, right? So your data sources are also very different. Text, structured, unstructured, video, audio, file, images, and at the velocity at which it comes and at high volume, large volume of data that becomes. So big data, okay, is characterized by high velocity, high volume, and high variety. And they are mostly in an unstructured format. Now, again, we are not going to go there. Okay. Still, even today, more than 80% of database that are being used is RDBMS. Okay. So most of the database that are still in use are your RDBMS. So this is a focus of our study. Now, when you talk about RDBMS, relational DBMS, what is relational? I'll talk about it in some time.
Okay.
Same for same type of DB. So if I talk about RDBMS, all RDBMS system will have same logical view. So what we are going to do in the class, we are focusing on RDBMS and we will be working with MySQL. But exactly same concept you can apply over other RDBMS systems. Okay. So like for example, if you talk about RDBMS, okay, so you have MySQL, you have Postgres, you have Oracle DB, you have Microsoft SQL Server, you have IBM DB2, and plenty. There are many. Okay, all these are your RDBMS systems. And the logical view that we're going to learn, okay, we will learn the concept, we'll apply over MySQL, but same thing can be done over entire other RDBMS. So here, when talk about database developer, they are same for RDBMS. So generally we say SQL. So what is SQL? Okay, work with SQL, so which is structured query language. Language of DBMS. You have been learning Python. Python is language for computer interaction. If you have to interact with database, you have to learn SQL. So just like Python, SQL is another language. Now we are learning second language, which is SQL. Okay, this is the language of database. If I need to extract something from database, I need to have this language. Okay, structured query language. Okay, now then the third type of role that you have is called database user. Okay, they extract and add data to the database. So mostly as a data scientist, data analyst, okay, our role falls under DB user. We are not going to maintain the database. Definitely not. We are not going to create a database. When you say creating database, you are creating a database, you're adding tables, you're adding columns. That we are not going to do. We are going to learn, right? Because when we create our MySQL, okay, we have to learn to do installation. We have to create our own database. But more focus is on database usage. So how do you, what actions do you do on database usage? So we talk about, sorry. Okay, so here we talk about CRUD role, CRUD application, or CRUD roles that we perform. C means create. You're creating a new data. Okay, you're creating a new data. R is read. You are reading the existing data in the data from the database. Okay. U is update. You are changing the existing data. D is delete. You're deleting the existing data. Okay. So you create a data, you read the data, you update the data, and or you delete the data. So these are our main roles. And our effort or the time that we're going to spend, maybe 2-3 days, we will perform all these things that we're talking about. But after 3 days, our focus will be mostly on crude. So database developer, okay, they create the database structure. They need to understand how many tables should we create. They need to understand the relationship between the tables. How many tables to create, how many rows will vary depending upon the data. But which columns to add, how many columns to add, which columns to add. Okay, the table, number of tables, the columns that we add, what should be the data type of columns, right? Just like we have data type there in Python, here also we have, SQL has its own data type. Which data types to add? Okay, so data types, okay, and how do you link one table to another? Okay, so these are the 3 roles that people generally perform in database. We will touch each of these in our learning, but more focus is on database user, because you will be connected. You need to know how to connect to the database. You need to know how to read the data from a table. You need to know how to add a new data to a table. Okay, we are not bothered about the structure of table. We do so we take what is there. We won't be creating tables. Mostly in the reality, you won't be asked to create tables. Okay, maybe as a data analyst, okay, you might be asked to create a table, but then you need to understand, because creating a table is not its process is easy, but which columns to add, okay, is little tricky. We are going to do it. We will be doing in our sessions. We will understand the relation, because R is very important. Okay, relational is important. We'll have a separate discussion on that. Okay, so did you understand? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Database, first you need to maintain the database, create the structure, installation, and things like that. Admin job. Developer, you need to understand the database concept, okay, the structure, and then create tables. And as a database user, you will be adding data to the table or reading the data, updating. Generally, we don't delete stuff. We want to, because if you delete it, it's very difficult to get back. But yes, delete is also an option. Okay, and we will be focusing on RDBMS. Now we'll talk about what is RDBMS in the next slide. All right,
Yes.
let's spend some time on RDBMS. Relational Database Management System. Okay, so I just said Relational Database Management System was developed by COD in 1960s or 70, I think 70, 71. Okay. But what we need to understand is, okay, there are some rules that he set for RDBMS. He said, if you follow these rules, then your database is, you can call your database as Relational Database Management System. Okay. So what are some rules? Rules are, first, okay, database will have tables to store the data. Now see, this is logical. See, when you have to store something on computer, it has to be a file.
Yes.
You have to store something, it has to be created a file. But file is your physical view, which database admin will take care of it. But logically, your data should be part of your table. Okay. Now, table will have rows and columns. Okay. Your columns are called as columns only. Okay. Sometimes we call them as fields. And rows are called as record. Okay, this is the, okay, this is what we call in database. Record is your rows. If I tell you that I have 10 records, That means I have 10 rows of data in my table. Okay. Okay. So columns. Now, if you look at, okay, let's understand with fields. Now, they will have same data type, right? So if I say field, column is phone number, right?
Yes.
To store phone number, you will create a data type, right? Now it could be a text, okay? Though phone number is number, but you can store as a text string,
Text.
okay?
Yes.
Because you're not going to add, subtract data, phone number data, right? So you can call this as a text data. So if I say text, every value in that column will be text. If I say integer, every value in that column will be integer, right? So the fields, they will have same data type, okay? What about records?
Records are of different data type. Why? Because there will be different
Correct.
fields.
Correct. It cuts across field, so it has to be different data type. But what is important here is they will be linked to same information.
Yes.
If I write Sachin Tendulkar as name, and then under runs, if I write 20,000, that means Sachin Tendulkar has scored 20,000 runs.
Okay. Yes.
So that 20,000 and name Sachin Tendulkar, number of sixes, number of wickets, city, state, all these data are linked, isn't it? So
Yes,
though
sir.
they are different data types, but they are linked to same information. They cannot be different information. So your records will have same information. Your fields will have same data type. Okay. So, okay. Yeah. And next is each cell. Cell is what? Where your row and column meets. Right? It's called
Yes.
each cell. You know, one row, one record, each cell. Okay. Each cell will have unique and single information only. That means, let's say if I say column name and first row, Sachin Tendulkar. Column name, first row, Sachin Tendulkar. I cannot say Sachin Tendulkar, son of Ramesh Tendulkar, city Mumbai. It should have only one information. If you want to create father's name, city, you create another column. You cannot have more than one information in one cell. Why? Because if you put multiple information in one cell, and while extracting, I just need to know the name. I don't need father's name. I don't need city name. Then I can't get it. Because when I access using SQL that cell, I will get entire information. And then again, you know, breaking into different words will be difficult. So it says that your cell should have single, information,
Type
not
of information.
multiple information. And we say unique. Unique because each row is for different record.
Right.
So if two cells has Sachin name, that means they're talking about two different Sachin,
Yes.
not about same Sachin. If we talk about same Sachin, they cannot be in two different row. It has to be in the same row. If you are putting name, row 1 name Sachin, row 2 name Sachin, definitely they are two different Sachin. They are not same Sachin. That's what I mean to say, unique and single. Okay, and then you should not duplicate the information. And tell me why. Why should we not duplicate? Now, this is nothing specific about database. This is common in all things that we do in system. Well, not only just DBMS, but any system. You should not have duplicate information. Why?
Because retrieving the data would be difficult.
Retrieving data will be faster.
No,
If you,
but we will have the same
if you have same
information.
two places,
Yes.
retrieval is faster. In fact, it's opposite. Okay.
Storage will be wasted.
Storage space will be wasted, but let's say you have a lot of money.
Yes.
Then management of information is difficult.
Yes.
Now, let's say you have your customer information in two different tables, and let's say you have blocking the check. You went to table 1, you said check number so and so is blocked.
Yes.
There's another table with same information. So you from the back end, you block the check, but the person who's actually,
Accessing the data will have different data.
After the person who had blocked the information about the blocking, but he will access the check.
correct. So as a user, you have blocked in one table, but there's another table with the same information, and the guy who's actually giving the money, right, the teller counter, that person will be looking in different table and will not see what you updated.
Yes.
And then the check will be cleared. So never ever information should be at two places. Now, okay, so this is what we talk about database. Okay. Now, okay, now that what Pritham has said, you have two types of database also in terms of usage. Types in terms of usage. One we call it as OLTP. It stands for online transaction processing, and OLAP. Online analytical processing. Okay. Now, when we talk about database, generally, we talk from OLTP perspective. We say database, right? Okay. We generally, by default, we assume that it is OLTP database. Okay. OLAP, okay, is for analytics. So obviously, when you talk about data science, data analytics, we talk about OLAP, not OLTP. Right now, our focus is to learn OLTP. So we're looking on OLTP. But if you're doing analytical processing, we focus on OLAP. Now, what is difference between TP and AP? See, when database is up and live, you log into Amazon, you log into your own system, right? That is called OLTP, transaction. It is live, okay? And all the verified users can access it. Okay, so here you will be performing both read and write operations. Okay, but again, if you remember, you will be performing more of read operations. You're performing both read and write. Okay, now you want to see the account balance for a customer. Okay, so let's say when you log into Amazon, for example, how many times you log in to see your products where it is? Very less time, right? Generally, you buy and you forget and you come after 2 days, 3 days, whatever. How many times you log in to read the customer account balance? Very less. But more time you will be working to make some edit in the database. Okay, somebody's KYC is not there. Now KYC is done, so you will update KYC done. Okay, you want to update location. They want to update, when they withdraw the cash or the deposit, the account balance should be updated. Right?
Yes.
So mostly you are performing write operation. Okay, so whatever we discussed, the rules, the previous slide, all holds true for the write operation. But here what happens, OLAP, okay, you are doing only read operation. No write operation. When you are doing data analysis, okay, I'll tell you, okay, Hari, take this data from last month's business and tell me which is my best performing product. okay, you are not going to write anything to it. You're only going to read. So here you see it is part of your main data. It is not all the data. If you want to analyze about last month business data, I will only give you last month data. I'm not giving you entire data. So I'm taking a portion of the OLTP and giving it to you, which is not live, which is not in use. So it's a online, okay, but sometimes online word can be misleading. It is online because you still need to interact with the database. As a database and analyst, okay, as a data analyst, you'll be reading that data very often. You are creating bar graph, you are creating line chart, you are creating, pie chart. So still you need to read the data every time. It's not that offline means data is gone. No. So that's why it is online. But it is not online in the sense it is not on. It could be a network, right? Because generally these files will be very heavy, TBs and kind of things. They'll put it in server and need to connect through internet to the server and put the data. But it is not live for use. Maybe you or any other data analyst might have access to it. Not everybody will have access to it. Okay, so OLAP is part of your OLTP database, which is not available, which is not in use for general use, which is extracted, given to you to perform analysis. So here you might have to make some edit, maybe some data is wrong, incorrect, and we'll talk about it when we go there towards the end of our training. We'll talk about data cleaning. Before you perform any analysis, you have to perform data cleaning. So there we'll talk about how to clean the data, missing data, outlier data, okay, handling those things. So of course you are doing writing, not that you are not doing writing, but theoretically you should not be changing any value. Whatever data comes to you, you should work on that, assuming the data is correct. So you are working on it. So practically you'll be performing some write operation, but theoretically you should not be performing any write operation because it's the data. Writing means you are making some changes to it, right? You should not be making any changes. So now if I talk about duplicate copies, it is better to create multiple copies, and sometimes, in OLTP, okay. Now we talk about data things. Generally we talk about data warehouse application, data warehousing. Okay, you have business intelligence. Talk about data and analysis. These are all applications of OLAP. Okay, data is given to you, you perform based on your availability. Okay, here this is your live application. Live application, right? Any live application you take it, okay, Amazon or your own banking applications. Okay, these are all your OLTP applications. Okay, and here you have to make sure the data is not duplicated because management of data becomes very difficult. When you connect to database, you know that all the information will be at only one place. But if I tell you, no, information is at more than one place, then you don't know whether information is at 2 places or 3 places or 10 places. You make change at 2 places and you forget to make change at 8 other places. People will have wrong information in the system. Inconsistent. You can't have inconsistent data, right? Inconsistent means so at one place it's saying 5, another place it's saying 7. That is called being inconsistent, right? You cannot have inconsistent data. So you have to make sure the database is consistent. So OLTP. Since in OLAP, you are not making any write, you can create multiple copies. Okay, look at this way. These days, nobody uses the Pocket Direct Diary, right? For storing phone numbers. But maybe if you guys remember 10 years back, 15 years back, we all had a small Pocket Diary with phone numbers, right? So now let's say, you have Pocket Diary and you have big house, 10 rooms. Okay, sometimes you'll be sitting in bedroom, sometimes we'll be sitting in drawing room, sometimes we'll be sitting somewhere else, study room. So we say, okay, it's very difficult to carry this pocket. Let me create 5 different copies and put it at 5 different rooms. You'll put one in drawing room, one you'll put it in bedroom, one you'll put it in study room, because your houses are big, you don't want to walk to get a pocket directory. You'll take a Xerox and you'll put it in 10 different places. It is very good for reading. If you want to search for somebody's number, you will take the copy where you are sitting. You don't have to cross the room. You don't have to go to another room to get the diary. Just open the diary, look at the name and dial the number or whatever. But now let's say you made a new friend and you have to add the new number to your diary. It's so difficult, right? It's very difficult. You have to make 5 different entries because you have 5 different diary. You have to make 5 different entries. Okay. And if you forget one. So that's why in OLAP application is like putting 5 different copies in 5 different places, because it's only for reading purpose, no writing purpose. So I can, pick anyone and write, because all the tables will have same information. I can pick any table and write. But when you talk about OLTP, where writing is allowed, where you are making changes, it is very difficult to maintain multiple copies. So you will maintain only one copy. Okay. So this is about OLAP and OLTP. There's one more concept which impacts OLTP, is called normal forms. Normal forms, we have first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, fourth normal form, fifth normal form. We don't go there. We generally stick to 1, 2, 3 normal forms. But what is normal form? Okay, we'll talk about tomorrow. Okay, normal forms is linked to relational, right? We discussed about relational here. So this normal form is related to relational. Okay, so what we'll do is tomorrow we'll take one example. Okay, let's say we want to develop customer database for bank. Okay, then we'll understand what is relation and what is normal forms and how to design the database. So now we are getting into database designing part. This is database developer work. Okay. Okay, we call them developer. We also call them architect. Okay, developer, when they have a lot of experience, we call them as architect. So we'll talk about architect. Okay, so that's the topic for tomorrow. Once we do that, then we can install the MySQL. But okay, if you want to install MySQL, okay, just give me 1 second. Okay. As I said, MySQL is RDBMS. You'll say download. I will also share a video. Okay. Community edition. Now, community edition is free version. MySQL is paid, right? It says that if you're using it for developing applications, then you pay me money. But if you're using it for learning purpose, then we don't have to pay money. It's free. It's called community edition. Download MySQL community. Okay, downloads. Okay, not the server. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay, server. Database has multiple components. You have server, you have client, you have tools. Okay, tool to work with database. So Workbench is tool by SQL Server. Okay, Oracle has its own, SQL Server has its own. MySQL has Workbench. So minimum 3 things: server, client, and the Workbench we need to install. Then you can also have sample databases. Okay. So we'll talk about all those things. But for now, okay, understand this. Okay. So now if you look at this one, it has server. Okay. It has, see, MySQL installer for Windows. This is what we actually need if you are using Windows. Okay. And go with 8.0.37 version. Okay, and you can use any one of these. Okay, don't go with 5.7. Okay, we'll go with the latest one, which is 8.0.37. Okay, so don't install today. I will share a video. because installation of MySQL is little lengthy process. It's not as simple as Python installation. It is little lengthier than Python. So we will see how to install. Okay, I'll talk about it. Okay, because you need to download it, you then have to select different components. So we'll talk about it. Still, I think we are 2-3 days away from using MySQL. We have to still understand the database concepts. Then we will install MySQL and work with it. Okay. Any questions before we go? No. Great. So yeah, MySQL download and components we'll talk about. Components. And then, okay, then what we will start here is creating or designing a database. That's the better word. Okay, so this will help us to understand the database architecture. We'll take one example and we will create different tables, different columns that will help us to understand normal forms and relationship. Okay, so we'll stop here. So yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, same time. Bye, guys.
Bye, sir.